Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder. As you can tell, I am not using my overlay today, and as I mentioned in yesterday's episode, OBS and my computer have given me a fair amount of trouble since I came back from regionals, and I decided I'd rather get a video up for you rather than have one that lags a fair amount, even if it means giving up the overlay for today or maybe the next couple of days. So just bear with me. I do have to apologize because I really like the overlay that I use, but hey, at least I'll still be able to get some battles in. So as you can tell, I am using a new team today featuring Metagross, which I've used in Road to Rank before, but I'm returning with a new set, one that a bunch of really good players used at regionals in St. Louis this weekend, featuring Iron Heads and Headbutt, Substitute, and Protect. Max Speed, I think it's really good. I've already tried it a couple of games out on BattleSpot, and I definitely really like it. So we're just going to jump into it. Rating currently is around 1850, so we've been really hovering in the mid to high 1800s. We reached 1900 a while back, but then fell down, and it's been tough to climb back up there, but hopefully we get there again. As Japanese opponent with the title Noob with the rating of 1820 from obviously Japan is going to be our first opponent of the day, with quite the interesting team here. We see Slurpuff, Cresselia, Mawile, Infernape, Tyranitar, and Amoonguss, so immediately the Infernape and Slurpuff jump out to me. First of all, I think Metagross is actually fantastic in this match, because it can outspeed everything, but this is definitely a Trick Room team, given the Cresselia, Mawile, Amoonguss, and Tyranitar. Not definitely, but that's my best bet. Interesting to see Infernape and Tyranitar on the same team, mainly because Infernape is a Pokemon that often carries Focus Sash, and it's, some people used it back in VGC. I actually used it in VGC 2013. That year I got second at Apex with it. It's not amazing, but it's actually, I like it a lot in VGC 2015. I might try it out soon because I think firefighting just gives you really good coverage. So as always, the question is, who do I want to lead with? I think I'm going to go with Gengar because it can taunt the Amoonguss, the Slurpuff, the Cresselia, which is all important because those Pokemon all kind of rely on setup moves. So I'm going to go with Gengar. I'm very tempted to actually pair it up with Metagross immediately because Metagross threatens my opponent's entire team. I'm going to want Suicune in the back for sure to deal with Mawile, Tyranitar, Infernape, etc. For the last one, I don't know, Thunder is probably not the best idea here. Conkeldurr is actually not bad against the Infernape and the Tyranitar, but doesn't fare well against much else. I'm actually going to go with Hydreigon to get super effective attacks off against Cresselia. Cresselia is one of those Pokemon where a lot of the times you want to bring a Pokemon that, at least, that's why most of my teams, or most teams in VGC have, a Dark type attack or a Ghost type attack, because, if you don't have a way to hit Cresselia for super effective damage, it's really annoying to deal with. Otherwise, you basically have to rely on Steel types because they can resist Cresselia's attacks. But we're going to see the Mawile and Cresselia lead come out for my opponent here, which is not terrible, but it's also not the best because if the Cresselia carries Mental Orb, which I'm kind of expecting, that would be bad. But now I can actually go straight for the taunt onto Cress. Actually, what I could do is... I could Will-O-Wisp Mawile because my opponent might predict the taunt there. And I can just go straight for the substitute with my Metagross. But you know what? I'll play it safe. I'll go for taunt. And I'll sub. Now we'll see if Mawile protects here. So Metagross obviously going to Mega Evolve first. It's pretty interesting to see the battle of the Steel types here, or Steel Mega Evolutions, just because I think they're both really good. Metagross was one of those Megas where people thought, okay, first of all, good, because Mawile went for the Protect, meaning basically predicted that Protect properly. Gengar's going to get the taunt off. Let's see whether this Cress is carrying the Mental Orb, which I'm expecting, as it does. So I do, predict the Mental Orb and the Protect, but good play on my opponent's end. And it does confirm at least that it has a Mental Orb, as Cress is going to get that Trick Room up immediately, which is obviously an issue. But at least Metagross gets the substitute up, which is nice. Now, knowing that my opponent's probably going to want to double into Gengar, I could actually switch my Gengar out into Suicune to take the potential Psychic/Iron Head coming up my way. And my Suicune is actually carrying Protect now, so that's actually the play I'm going to go for, as I'm just going to Iron Head Mawile, which should be a 2-hit KO. The reason why I'm running Iron Head over Meteor Mash, which I ran on my Metagross set previously, was because this Metagross really relies on getting attacks off, and you just can't afford to miss Meteor Mashes. So I'm going to bring in Suicune here. Don't want to lose Gengar too early, as Mawile is going to Mega Evolve. And given that Mawile is going to be faster than Cresselia in their Trick Room, there's no way Metagross is fainting this turn, but I'm just going to go for the attack. Wow, it went for the Rock Slide. Interesting play there. Rock Slide Mawile I actually used at the end of VGC 2014 on my Mawile. mainly to counter Charizard. So that Suicune takes it like a champ, so I don't lose a Pokemon this turn, and I get the Iron Head off against the Mawile, which is fantastic for me, so that was a really good turn. And now that I do have Protect on Suicune, I'm just going to Protect here to avoid any damage and go straight for the Iron Head into Mawile. So I'm very happy right now because, you know, I wanted to feature Substitute Mega Metagross, and it's doing a fantastic job straight away. But this is definitely not my idea, so shoutouts to Zach, to Andrew Burley, and to Jake Mueller, Major Bowman. Those are 3 players that all piloted to Top Cut in St. Louis with it. If you watch the St. Louis stream at all, which I'm actually going to be analyzing in the upcoming days, I'm going to go over the stream and commentate over the matches, you'll see that basically they all use Sub-Metagross, as the Mawile actually goes for the Protect here, which is a great play on my opponent's end, predicting a potential Protect from Suicune, which is good because now my opponent can attack into it this following turn, but it also means that my opponent just wasted a turn of his own Trick Room, so I don't mind that at all. So now I'm just going to go for the Scald onto the Crest and the Iron Head. Play Rough might actually even not knock out Suicune, because Suicune is so defensively bulky, you know, this bold nature. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about the EV spread, so I'm going to be revealing that in my Mega Venusaur team analysis very soon, so keep your eyes open for that. I do like that team a lot, but, you know, a lot of you guys have been asking for new things, and I really like trying out this Mega Metagross because, you know, I think it warrants being used. It's the, you know, we didn't really see it used very much before St. Louis Regionals, but I think those 3 players that I mentioned earlier really kind of changed the metagame up a bit by bringing this set to the table, which I think is really interesting, and I like it a lot. It's definitely my favorite Mega Metagross set as of right now, so definitely try it out. Substitute on fast Pokemon is just really fantastic, as Mawile actually went for the Sucker Punch onto Metagross there. Not sure if I entirely agree with that play, unless this Cresselia has something like HP Fire, but nope. We're just going to see the Psyshock and the Sucker Punch going out there. So, you know, it makes sense because otherwise the Metagross would still be behind a Substitute, but what I'm going to be able to do here is get a Scald off against the Cresselia, which of course can actually burn, which would be nice here, but it doesn't burn. Metagross, however, gets the Iron Head more importantly, and it's going to be able to knock out the Mega Mawile, so that's 3 turns of Trick Room gone, and I can just double protect this next turn to stall out the 4 turns, so I'm definitely feeling really good right now, especially because Mawile threatens, especially the Hydreigon I've got in the back. So we're actually going to see Infernape come in here, which is pretty interesting given how fast Infernape actually is. So it's definitely going to want to Fake Out here. In anticipation of that, I'm going to Scald the Infernape, and I'm going to Substitute here. This way, if Infernape goes for the Fake Out onto Metagross, I Scald it to bring it down to its Focus Sash, as Cresselia actually switches out. So lots of interesting decisions on my opponent's part here, as Amoonguss is going to come in. But I don't mind this at all, because, like I said, I made this play knowing one of 2 things were going to happen. Cresselia didn't threaten, you know, my Suicune or Metagross at all. And I think this is interesting because it goes back to what I was talking about earlier on with, Cresselia. You know, it's really bulky, really annoying to deal with, but as Arash Amadi basically mentioned in 2013, of course Arash was the 2013 World Champion, he said he didn't bring Cresselia that year because he felt like it was dead weight, and a lot of the times it would actually do less for him than, you know, it wouldn't do as much for him as he would have wanted. It'd become a sitting duck. So he didn't end up bringing it to Worlds, and obviously, you know, it was the right call. He won without Cresselia, whereas most players really use Cresselia in that year. So this is really good for me because Metagross hiding behind a sub right now is just fantastic. What I could actually do here is set up a Tailwind, and I can Zen Headbutt Amoonguss. And, I mean, the Amoonguss might want to Protect here too, which is why I'm kind of leaning away towards that, but I'm going to go for the Tailwind. You know, you're probably asking, why would you Tailwind against a Cresselia that has Trick Room? Oh, I guess this might have just been a misplay because the Cresselia is going to come back in, but basically my opponent has no way to... Oh, wow. I missed the Zen Headbutt there. That's unfortunate. That definitely sets me back a bit. I'm still not too worried because my opponent just doesn't have a way to hit this Metagross right now, like at all. His only way of hitting Metagross is with the Infernape. So the reason why I set up Tailwind there was because I was predicting the Protect from Amoonguss and the Fire-type attack into Metagross. That way, by setting up Tailwind, I could Zen Headbutt the Amoonguss the following turn and Scald the Infernape. However, missing the Zen Headbutt there is kind of unfortunate, but, you know, that's kind of the reason why Mega Metagross is a scary Mega to use, because you rely on these inaccurate moves, whereas other Megas, for example, like Kangaskhan has 100% accurate moves all around. Mawile, you know, has Iron Head, Sucker Punch, Rock Slam, Play Rough, not the best accuracy also, but, you know, Venusaur, Giga Drain, and Sludge Bomb 100% accurate, so it is annoying to deal with, but, you know, hey, that's what you gotta deal with. So I'm gonna stay in with Suicune right now. And I'm just going to go for the Iron Head onto Cress. Amoonguss here is either going to switch out or go for the Protect, but it's going to do neither, actually. Probably going straight for the Giga Drain onto Suicune. Which I don't really mind. But we're probably going to see the Trick Room come out of Cress here. So great play by my opponent, not protecting or switching out the Amoonguss there. But once again, my opponent has no way to touch this Mega Metagross, so I really do not care about Amoonguss getting that Giga Drain off. As Trick Room is going to go up there, so nicely done on my opponent's end to get it up once again. But you know, now I've got... well, first of all, I definitely got to stall out all these turns again, but I've still got a Hydreigon and a Gengar in the back, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to try to protect here, and I'm definitely going to go for the... Actually, I think I'm just going to go straight for Zen Headbutt onto Amoonguss. Normally, you want to protect the first turn when Trick Room is up, but in this case, I really have no need to, as Cresselia is actually going to switch out. The reason why there's no need to protect is my opponent can't touch this Metagross right now, so I just want to get offense off. Unfortunately, Suicune's not going to be able to wake up this turn, so we're probably going to see a Giga Drain into the slot, as it is going to be that play. So I'm hoping I can connect with Zen Headbutt this time around, after missing it the first time. That would be really good. Probably will be able to knock out Amoonguss. Does connect, which is really good. Let's see if he can knock out this Amoonguss, because of course Amoonguss tend to be defensively built, but not going to be the case here as I knock out the Amoonguss. That is absolutely fantastic for me, as that's the first turn of Trick Room gone. So I'm going to bring in Gengar here, because Gengar can't get faked out by the Infernape, which is kind of the biggest deal right now, whereas the... Oops! I actually dropped my DS there and closed it by accident. It's okay, nothing happened there. But yeah. That was scary. Right, so I didn't want to bring in Hydreigon because Hydreigon is currently faster than the Infernape, meaning Infernape outspeeds it under Trick Room. So what I'm going to do is just Sludge Bomb, Infernape, and Zen Headbutt it. It's probably his Focus Sash. My best bet is it has a Flare Blitz, as it's going to go for the Psy Shock into Gengar, which is great because it means Metagross' sub hangs around for a turn longer. As let's see what Infernape went for. Okay, it's going to go for the Overheat onto the Metagross, and that's basically going to mean game as long as I hit the Zen Headbutt. Hopefully I do. A potential way my opponent could have come back here was by targeting the Gengar, but that was not going to be the case there. So I do get the Sludge Bomb off. See if Zen Headbutt connects, and it does, so that's great. Of course I could have Iron Head for 100% accuracy there, but I figured if my opponent doubled into Gengar, I wanted to bring the... you know, the Infernape at least down to its Sash. Though Iron Head probably would have made a bit more sense there for the 100% win. But now I can just Iron Head and Sludge Bomb this Crest. So Metagross, really the MVP of this match, which I'm very happy about because, you know, featuring a team with Mega Metagross, what better way to feature it than you really using it to its fullest. So great job there by it. Setting up the substitute that first turn was absolutely huge. Basically, outleading my opponent was great too. And like I said, my opponent had no way to really hit it, bar the Infernape and the... Tyranitar, but Tyranitar, you know, didn't want to make an appearance here given that I had Metagross and Conkeldurr, so I'm going to be able to take the win there as I'm just going to jump right into it and look for another battle. So that was awesome, you know. Shout out to my opponent for having a cool team too, but the main issue was, you know, when you have Cresselia and Amoonguss, those Pokemon don't get very much offense off, so you rely on the other two Pokemon, and the issue for my opponent there was one of the Pokemon was Mawile, the other was Infernape. Infernape, very frail, can't take more than 2 hits, which was the case, you know, at the end of the battle, and Mawile there, basically getting the sub up first turn was huge because it prevented Sucker Punch shenanigans. It also allowed me to basically 2-hit KO it with Iron Head, so fantastic work by Mega Metagross there. Really, I feel like the first time dictated it the most, and fortunately enough, I was able to predict the Protect from Mawile, and the, you know, surprisingly enough, I did call the Mentor on Cresselia, but when I looked at my opponent's team composition, it really made sense that Mentor was the item on Cress. As a 1609 opponent, so slightly lower rated, is going to be our second opponent of the day, with Charizard, Kangaskhan, Rotom Heat, Gyarados, Garchomp, and Whimsicott. So double Mega there for my opponent. There's a potential to be quadruple Mega with Charizard, Kangaskhan, Garchomp, and Gyarados, but Kangaskhan and Charizard are typically the Megas, and I'm guessing Gyarados and Garchomp are not. Once again, the question is, who do we lead with? I think Gengar here is a pretty safe bet. I like Gengar a lot. And, actually Thundurus is really solid here. Yeah, Gengar Thundurus is solid because I can Taunt, I can Thunder Wave, Will-O-Wisp, Status right away, whatnot. Metagross here is still really good, so I'm going to bring that. For the last one, it's really between Conkeldurr and Hydreigon. Conkeldurr because my opponents, you know, got, obviously Kangaskhan, Rotom Heat, Charizard, but I think I'm leaning towards Hydreigon here just because of high damage output. So I'm going to go with that. Conkeldur's an interesting Pokemon. You guys know that I've been running Terrakion more as my fighting type in VGC 2015. And I do like Terrakion a lot, but Conkeldurr I think is not more solid. I think it's actually interesting because someone asked me the other day, what's better on a team, Conkeldurr or Terrakion? And while they're both fighting types, I think they kind of do different things in the sense that Terrakion is there to try to pick up one-hit KOs and have offensive pressure based off its speed. But the thing about Terrakion is it's really easy to, not really easy, but relatively easy to one-hit KO it, especially with any super effective attack. And also, after a close combat, even neutral attacks like Thunderbolt and Shadow Ball can one-hit KO it. Whereas Conkeldurr, a lot more bulkier, but the thing is, obviously, it's slower, so it's going to be the slowest Pokemon on the field most of the time. So, I think the speed thing is really interesting. It's whether you're willing to attack last for the trade-off. So, they do different things, but I do like Conkeldurr a lot as well because I think a lot of teams are ill-prepared for it, especially the Mega Venusaur team, for example, which I used previously, which had a very difficult matchup against bulky Conkeldurrs. So, I'm going to go with two of the fastest Pokemon in the format, Thundurus and Gengar against the Whimsicott and the Garchomp, which is an interesting lead. But I don't mind it because what I can do is actually go straight for the Icy Wind here. And I predict we're going to see a Protect and a Tailwind from the Whimsicott, but I'm still going to taunt the Whimsicott to shut it down the following turn. Oh, wow. It went for the taunt onto my own Thundurus, but Garchomp did not Protect, which I'm not going to complain about because I just got a free Icy Wind off against a Garchomp, which is a 2-hit KO. Look at how much damage that Icy Wind does. Actually getting the critical hit against Whimsicott, which is definitely unfortunate. But taunt preventing my own taunt there. Garchomp going straight for the Rock Slide. Good move, but I got a lot of free damage off this turn, as Rock Slide's not even a 2-hit KO on either of my Pokemon, so that's really good for me here. As presumably, excuse me, the Whimsicott here is going to Tailwind and Garchomp's going to Protect. So, what I could do is anticipate that, taunt the Whimsicott, and actually switch out to Mega Metagross. Yeah, this is a play I'm going to make. It's a play I like to make against Tailwind users, especially Prankster users, because I know Whimsicott can't do anything the following turn. The Protect play from Garchomp here is relatively obvious. It's a really bad idea not to Protect there with Garchomp just because you would lose both of your Pokemon. And so, you're asking, why would I not KO the Whimsicott here, right? Like, it's such a big threat. But the reasoning here is, I don't need to KO it, really. There's really no need. Basically, if I were to KO it, I give my opponent a free switch-in to, say, something like the Charizard Y, and that would be really bad. Basically, by keeping Whimsicott out here, it means I stall out a free turn of Tailwind, because my opponent just can't do very much right now. So what I can actually do is just Protect with the Metagross and go for the Icy Wind, and Mega Evolve as well. Though, the Protect play is kind of obvious. So I can Icy Wind here. I think I'm actually going to switch back out into Thundurus, so I can Thunder Wave whatever the Whimsicott's probably going to switch out to. So Whimsicott does switch out. I've been calling my opponent's moves relatively well. It's actually going to be Kangaskhan coming in here, which I'd rather see than Charizard, so hey, I don't mind that. So I'm going to swap out my Metagross here. I could have potentially anticipated that and Will-O-Wisp that slot instead, but I thought Charizard might have been a potential one. And I nail my opponent as he goes for the Earthquake onto his own Kangaskhan, trying to aggressively KO that Metagross, but I didn't want to, let Metagross stay in. I knew the worst possible play there that would go against me was if my opponent Dragon Clawed Gengar, but I figured with the Metagross it might be pretty tempting to go attack the Metagross. So the first 3 turns of this game have played out absolutely perfectly for me, especially given that my opponent's Kangaskhan and Whimsicott are already pretty severely weakened, but game is still far from over, especially when you have Mega Kangaskhan, of course, one of the best Mega Evolutions, if not the best Mega Evolution in the game. Though it's interesting because as I've tried out all these Megas, Salamence, Venusaur, Metagross, I think there's no clear good, number 1 Mega Evolution this year, whereas last year, Mawile basically made a case at the end of the year, though Kangaskhan and Charizard were basically there in the top 3. This year it's a lot more open. But we're going to see Kangaskhan and Whimsicott now against Gengar and Thundurus. Interesting decision for my opponent to bring out the Whimsicott rather than the last attacking Pokemon. For example, Rotom Heat, Gyarados, or Garchomp. Though Garchomp fainted, so it would have been Gyarados, which I'm guessing is my opponent's last one based off that move. So, let's see. I'm just going to Sludge Bomb and T-Bolt the Kangaskhan now. It can knock out one of the 2 Pokemon. This is actually going to go for the Taunt onto Thundurus. That's why I didn't go for the T-Wave, which normally I would have went for as a... My opponent went for the double edge onto Gengar, but he's not using scrappy Kangaskhan, so, I guess that's a good lesson for my opponent to learn. I mean, at this point in the game, I feel like I'm so far ahead, it would have been pretty difficult to lose. And it was fine. If I lost Gengar there, I still would have knocked out Kangaskhan, and it would have been 3 of my offensive Pokemon against a Whimsicott and whatever my opponent's last Pokemon is, which I guess is Gyarados. It's gonna be Charizard. Okay. So, okay, that actually makes sense why Kangaskhan didn't Mega Evolve, because now Charizard can Mega Evolve, so things make a bit more sense right now, but that last one was really interesting. I actually kind of wish my opponent KO'd me there, because I don't want Gengar out right now, because it's basically a sitting duck. But I don't want to switch out into Hydreigon either, because Hydreigon beats Charizard by itself, so I'm just going to ICU in, and I'm going to T-Bolt to try to knock out this Whimsicott. I should be able to take a Heat Wave from the Charizard. As we see this sunny day, but Charizard doesn't Mega Evolve. Why? Maybe my opponent just doesn't run a Mega Evolution, as Gengar actually even avoids the Heat Wave, so that's going to be game. Maybe it specs Charizard, actually, given how much that Heat Wave did. It should not have KO. Oh, it's Life Orb. Wow. Man, my opponent just got all these wacky sets. It's pretty interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I actually do feel kind of bad there, because if Heat Wave connected, it would have been a more interesting game. Though, the thing is, Charizard can't really hit Hydreigon in the first place, unless it has something like Dragon Pulse. But, nope, not gonna be the Mega Charizard here. It's gonna be Solar Power with Life Orb, which is why, obviously, it did so much damage there. But that's gonna be game as I bring in Hydreigon here. So, my opponent definitely got a bit unlucky. Which, you know, sucks, but that's Pokemon. But I feel like I had the upper end most of the game. As, I don't know, really just the first couple of turns. I feel like not KOing Whimsicott was pretty huge, because I made sure my opponent didn't get a free switch into anything. Just the first turn, my opponent not protecting Garchomp was kind of interesting, going for the taunt onto Thundurus instead, but gonna pick up a win there. So, 2 wins in today's episode, which is awesome. I really liked the first game, just because I feel like it featured Mega Metagross really well. Second one, a bit more gimmicky of a team, but always fun to play against things that, you know, you think you know what's coming your way, but you really don't. Normal Kangaskhan, and then, normal Charizard Y. Man, I wonder if what the Mega Evolution even was then. I would guess Kangaskhan, though. I'd guess, but you never know. Anyway, that's it for this episode, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, I will be trying to make sure the overlay is going to be back in future episodes, but keep your eyes open for that. Also, if you didn't watch yesterday's episode, where I basically mentioned a lot of things since I've been gone for the past couple of days, definitely check that out as well. I do have to apologize that this upload was a bit later than, you know, my normal times, but I was just really figuring out all day trying to make OBS and my computer work, but things are still kind of annoying. So, going to be working on that the next couple of days, and then, of course, all the new video ideas I have planned. So keep your eyes open for that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and the team, as always, you know, leave a like if you did, and I shall see you tomorrow. All right, peace.